The man accused of stealing more than $10,000 from a Lubbock church is out of jail. The Lubbock County Sheriff's Office confirmed 49-year-old Jared Castillo bonded out of jail on Sunday.
This comes as our Investigates team has learned about another complaint against Castillo and his business, LED Liquidator. KCBD News Channel 11's investigative reporter Shaylee Kidwell has this latest update in tonight's Warning Signs report.
A church, a barbecue restaurant, an electric company, an insurance company, and a landscaping company. They are all former customers of Jared Castillo, and they tell us they are all out thousands of dollars.
When you saw that he had recently been arrested, what went through your mind?
About time. I mean, how many more people is he going to steal money from? In a church? I mean, that is the lowest of low, I think.
Cerisa Smith owns Texas Rock and Flagstone in Lubbock. In 2019, Smith says Castillo, an acquaintance, approached her about purchasing an LED sign for her business.
He came to me with a sample LED sign that was a Surefire, was the brand.
Smith says the Surefire sign she wanted was $20,000, but Castillo offered her a deal.
He told me that I was getting a $10,000 discount because it was sold previous and the person couldn't buy it, so I was going to buy it for $10,000.
This is a copy of the Guns Up Productions LED sign manufacturer's contract Smith and Castillo signed on June 7, 2019. We noticed this contract doesn't have a delivery date.
Did he tell you about how long it would take to get the sign?
About 2 months, so I paid him $1,500 up front. I was kind of leery, so I wasn't going to pay him all of it until the sign was actually delivered.
Smith says a truck dropped off the sign about 2 months later.
So were you expecting a Surefire sign?
Yes, that's what I was told.
And what did you get?
It was something made in China. Couldn't read the instructions, subpar. I mean, wasn't anywhere near a Surefire sign.
The $10,000 she paid Castillo did not include installation.
Oh, that was a whole other story. I had to hire somebody to do all the work to get it up. And then he hired somebody to program it.
When the person comes out to program it, do they get the message up on the sign that you wanted?
No. Played a Chinese movie for about 3 weeks. We couldn't figure out how to get it off.
You're off of a pretty busy highway here. You told me that you were notified by the city that that needed to stop, right?
Yes, and we could not get it to stop.
So what did the city say to you?
They just told me that if we did not take it down, we were going to be fined.
According to the contract, the merchandise is guaranteed for 90 days by Guns Up Productions against imperfections in materials or workmanship. All signs also include a 10-year manufacturer's warranty on parts. The contract goes on to state the merchant must call Guns Up Productions prior to initiating repairs. Smith says she called and texted Castillo.
Numerous excuses, and then he just ghosted me. There's no response after that.
You had to call another sign company to come over and see if they could figure this thing out, and did they have any luck?
He said, we can't even get the parts to fix this. He said, this is China. We don't even know what it is. It's not fixable.
Then Smith says the sign stopped working altogether.
Had a little bit of rain, and next day, nothing.
Did you go to the police department?
I called, and they told me it was a civil matter, and they could not help me with it.
Did you talk with an attorney?
I did. I waited about 1.5 years, and we sent certified letter out. But he never signed for the certified letter. He'd moved numerous times, and I mean, at that point, it's going to cost me more, and he doesn't have anything, so what was the point at that? But I would have never thought he would do this to other people.
Fast forward 3 years. Small business owners John Wall with Big Star Electric and Todd Danley with Danley Insurance say Castillo approached them about purchasing a sign for their neighboring businesses in Seminole.
The first price that was originally quoted was about $45,000.
But Danley says Castillo offered them a discount if they paid up front and in full. The new total, about $18,000.
This is a copy of the contract they signed on August 24th, 2022. Now compare this document to this one, signed by Smith in 2019. Castillo changed the name of his business from Guns Up Productions to LED Liquidator.
The men say they started to get suspicious when 12 weeks passed and they still didn't have a sign.
They called him at first with no luck, and then some text messages that, telling him I was concerned, wanted to know what was going on, and no response.
Eventually, Danley says he contacted an attorney.
I guess the advice my lawyer gave me was, you're throwing good money after bad, that you probably won't ever see any of this money.
2 days after these business owners signed their contract, a small business owner in Plainview says he signed a contract with LED Liquidator. Monty Neal owns Weekends Barbecue and says Castillo approached him about purchasing a sign for his restaurant's new location.
He represented himself very well at first. He ended up making the payment up front and signing the contract.
Neal says he paid Castillo nearly $4,000, but the sign never came in.
He texted me back once or twice saying he was sick, and that's when I started, after that he kind of just went totally radio silent.
Neal says he filed a police report.
Plainview Police Department started a case, and they spoke with Jared, and they came back, the detective called me and said, this is really going to be a civil matter going forward. So we spoke to our attorneys, and basically the consensus was that, for the amount of money we paid him for the sign, it was going to be kind of more, it's going to cost us more time and effort to try and get that amount of money back than what we'd really get out of it.
About 8 months later, Tim Reese, a member of St. Luke's Church in Lubbock, says he contacted LED Liquidator about ordering a new LED sign for the church's southwest campus.
I believe the total price was going to be $18,000. Everything seemed on the up and up.
You didn't pay that up front, though. How did the payment plan work?
No. Pay a deposit up front, so you pay $10,000 up front. It was a little over $10,000, and then the other $8,000 when the job was done.
Reese says Castillo never delivered the sign. Reese says the toughest part of this is knowing whose money he took.
The hard-working folks that come to this church who donate and do what they feel, is driven to do, and then this guy just comes in and takes advantage of that.
The pastor filed a police report with the Lubbock Police Department on April 25, 2023. On February 7, 2024, Castillo was charged with 1 count of theft and booked into the Lubbock County Detention Center. While Castillo's former customers are happy to hear Castillo will have to answer to St. Luke's allegations, they wish the justice system would have gotten involved sooner.
Where's the sign that he sold you?
Oh, it went in the dumpster. And I bought a new one that I did pay $20,000 for, but I did get a new one.
If you could say anything to Jared Castillo right now, what would you say?
You're a piece of work. That's all I could say.
The punishment for Castillo's theft charge can include a fine up to $10,000 and imprisonment ranging from 180 days to 2 years or both. A state jail felony will bump up to a third-degree felony if the defendant has a previous felony conviction. Now, in 2013, Castillo was charged with evading arrest in a vehicle and received 10 years of community supervision. The state argues Castillo has violated the conditions of his community supervision and it should be revoked. We called and texted Castillo, but he did not respond. We also contacted Castillo's court-appointed attorney, Audie Reese. Reese sent us this statement, quote, Mr. Jared Castillo is pleading not guilty to the charges pending against him. As is his right under the U.S. Constitution, he'd prefer to have a fair trial in a court of law rather than in the court of public opinion. As such, we will not be commenting further on this matter. Karen and Abner.
Now, Shaylee, you obtained a copy of the state's motion to revoke Castillo's community supervision, and the state has accused Castillo of committing other violations aside from this most recent theft charge, right?
That's right, Abner. Here is a look at that motion. You can see the state begins with the theft charge related to St. Luke's Church, but then states Castillo committed theft of property in Terry County in 2015. In 2014, the state says Castillo committed the offense of violation of occupational license in Yoakum County. The state also claims Castillo failed to report to the community supervision officer and failed to pay community supervision fees. The state says he failed to submit and pay for drug tests and did not complete a required budget class. Castillo has a court hearing next month. Karen and Abner.
Thank you, Shaylee.